Purpose and partnership. Let's talk about it. And I think this is going to be the last video, but I just want to make sure you guys understand what I'm talking about. And like I said, this ties into what I've been talking about with ancestral and generational cycles. Okay. And a little recap: I watched a video on the Tamara Show with Judge Greg Mathis and his beautiful wife, Linda. And as I was looking, I was seeing something spiritual sparked up in me that made me tune in. I love that man. I've watched him for years. I just like who he is, how he stands up for justice, how he stands up for people, and just his passion. He's a really always had great vibes from him. Just put it like that. What I was seeing and sensing is something that concerned me. It concerned me deeply and greatly. I've been married, so I know the dynamics. I'm not speaking from a place that I don't know. I've counseled many people who have been in relationships, the dynamic of the relationship, and this dynamic of relationship between husband and wife at large has always to be given a hit for these reasons. So that's why I'm coming out here today on these streets to talk about it. This probably be the last video I did too, so go check them out, okay? And this is what it is, okay? There are a lot of people who get with successful people or driven people or people who have mantles on their life, okay? And like I said, this man is always, Judge Greg Mathis, always expressed who he was. And maybe he did not know how big he was going to be or how big his mantle was, okay? And maybe they had dreams and ambitions that they had together, you know, because in the last video I talked about not having a conversation. Maybe they had the conversation, right? But still didn't quite grasp the significance or the ideal or the vastness of it, okay? When we get with folks, just like Linda and him got together, okay, you should be able to understand the drive of the person before the marriage. It is very important, okay? Or sometimes in between the marriage, you guys are still growing, the two entities coming together, okay? Things do shift, okay? Within the marriage, okay? Your focus may shift, okay? Maybe you wasn't as sure about something, or maybe it didn't work out the way that you wanted to. And in a lot of these cases, okay, there are many that get into this relationship, be it the male or the female, because, honey, this is not just gender related, okay? All right? And the spouse that has the lesser drive or the less dominant role, okay, or the lesser commitment or the lesser ambition or the lesser role tend to fall in a place of emotional distress, okay? Because they don't feel that they have the security, okay, of what they were looking for, what they were promised within that relationship. Their dream was bigger than what they thought it was going to be, okay? They want more attention, okay? They want their daily needs met, okay? Little mundane things, okay? And not like those things don't matter, okay? But it begins to fall in the lines of what they faced at the end of the day. You understand what I'm saying? Okay? Then when the relationship begins to fall, and the reconciliation, they do, you know, reconcile and come back together. A lot of what I see as well, because there's some moments that I watched on the show when Judge Mathis was speaking, I could see the face on his wife, like, girl, you doing too much, or this and the other. But she listened to him and had that face, but looked at how much the audience really enjoyed what he was saying and were taking, especially when he talked about his gay son. And he got loud about it. You know, and Tamara said, "Your dad loud, but this movie y'all doing is louder." I seen the look in his wife's face. And sometimes we do desire for the spotlight to finally be on us. What about me? Oh my God. But the mantle that person is carrying, is it meant to make you feel small? Okay? All right? Okay? So now that Judge Mathis really loved his wife and I have this mantle, but you're getting ready to leave me. So I'm going to do everything that I can so that what I love don't fail. And when that reconciliation begins, another thing that I see in the role shift, okay, is that the dominant one, or the one that was providing, that gave you the comfortable life, the one that you have so many issues with, the one that had the more spotlight, the one that became more successful, the one that you married, you said yes to, and you knew had big dreams, now becomes submissive, afraid to lose, afraid to be all that they can be, because this me being all that I can be hurt my spouse, dimmed my spouse, made my spouse feel less significant. It almost tore up what was mine. Oh my God. I'm not trying to take away from the fact that she was a homemaker and that she had 50 daycare centers and that she was home raising her kids, because obviously they doing way better probably than me, honey. Got money in the bank. I'm not trying to comfort them like that, but I know the mantle that I carry. I know who I am, so that don't, you know, that don't bother me. But what was his presence? I want to ask her, what was his presence when he was home? Did he spend time with the family? Did he spend time with the kids? How was he in the home? He didn't cheat on you. You know, that's what life allotted to him. And And from watching this, I see some kind of, I want to say the word selfishness, but I don't want to say that because I don't know if she'll ever see this. Okay? Maybe she had people in her ear, like I said in the last video. Okay? All right, where's Greg? What's Greg doing? Why you always, girl, you always got these kids, girl, you always, he always is, mind your business. Tell people to mind their business, stay out your relationship. Okay? All right? Maybe she felt alone. But what would warrant you to, when everything's said and done, to say, hey, how? Now I need to focus on myself. This is too much. Okay? There's also a dynamic within marriage where a spouse loses their own identity because they are holding up arms of the dominant one. Okay? And that's what I see kind of happen here. Okay? All right? He's a very passionate man, a loving man. Greg Mathis is very open, and he has been open about everything. Okay? He wasn't out here doing what a lot of homewrecker men do or homewrecker spouses do. Okay? There's some women out here that would have loved to be in her shoes. But she was ready to drop the ball. Okay? We get with kings and queens. It is very important, okay, that we learn how to walk together in sync and not allow outside forces, outside energies to tear up our homes. Or am I acting out of selfishness? Am I being a little brat? Okay, am I being jealous? Do I want more? Do I want to be on the spotlight? Should I ask Greg to put me in the spotlight with him? So now my face can be seen so people know that behind every good man is a strong woman? Instead of throwing 40 years away? Okay, what was she saying to her children at home? I would love to know those things. Did her bitterness set in? And I'm not trying to take away from that woman's pain at all, because I know and I understand and I get and I counsel many people like her, okay, that have been in these situations. And then you have the children that maybe daddy wasn't able to come to the football games and you had to see other people's parents at games and events, you know. But I believe he was there when he could be, you know. That was his mantle. That is something that he couldn't. They provided for you, put food in your mouth, gave you nice clothes and nice things, even though material things aren't. So I'm not taking away from her pain, but this is the dynamic that I see in relationships. And like I said, this is what I see generationally in relationships. I see it over and over again, and I'm just using Judge Mathis and Linda to talk about it. It gave me the to talk about it, okay? And like I said in the last video, you know, when we get with people, it is important that before you step into a relationship that you understand the mantle of the person, please, for the relationship that you are in. Agreeance of that mantle, okay, with that person, okay? And that you guys make a plan before you say I do, okay? On how you are to bring and produce the fruit that you need to produce within your relationship. There is so much more to say about this, but I'm not going to beat a dead horse or drag this even further, okay? And like I said, I'm not dismissing how she felt in her relationship, or I don't know all the ins and outs of their relationship. So it's really none of my business. But what I've seen with my spiritual eye today, with the demeanor and the eye shifts and the looks, oh my goodness, oh my gosh. And I don't know if they're in counseling, but they should be. And I know that he is still trying to hold up his mantle and talk to, you know, and help and heal generations of people. I want to know what she's doing with that as well. Okay, after all of that, okay, and if you're in the same relationship, after all of that, once you reconcile, okay, now what are you doing? You express that you didn't feel you lost yourself. You express that you wanted more, okay, and you needed a bigger purpose, okay, based on what was already established within your other spouse. Now what are you doing with your new path, your new enlightened journey? I would love to know that. What is she doing now that they're moving forward? Okay? It is so powerful, but it is so deep. And if Spirit allows me to come back out on these streets and to talk about it more, I will. But those are the questions that I ask, you know, and these are the hard questions. And when I counsel couples, these are the things we go over, okay? So I want to extend to anyone out here that is going through any kind of relationship problems, issues. And it don't got to be a relationship with a spouse. You know, it could be family, it could be work related, or just a relationship with yourself. Because baby, sometimes our destinies fight against each other. Our passion, our purpose, and our partnership. Man, oh man, that's a whole nother video. This is Duchess of Spiritual Doula. Grace and peace.